There are lots of different ways that you can advertise to someone, but perhaps the single most strongest way to make someone go, "Ooh, I want that product," is to touch their nostalgia. I woke up this morning to not only my nostalgia being touched, but it had been punched, it had been kicked, I think they bit it. There's nothing left of my nostalgia. You see, two of my favourite games from the past are Ni No Kuni and just Zelda-like games, or if you want to be particular, the Wind Waker. So when I saw the trailer for this game, or Baldo if you want to know the actual name of it, I instantly thought Ni No Kuni, Wind Waker, Zelda-like, everything just kind of crammed into this game. So you can imagine me just being like, yes, 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 I want to know more, give me more. And there wasn't that much other information out there. No news sites were reporting on other stuff. There was just this one trailer for the game. I didn't know what was up with it. So I decided to just today do a little bit of digging, see what else I could find out. We found out some other stuff here, but don't expect too much. I've dived a little bit deeper in this trailer to bring some information that you might have missed, because there's actually quite a lot in this trailer that maybe you didn't see, you might not expect, you enjoy, and you enjoy being with me anyway, because I do weird stuff like this. Let's go. Let us start with the key details here. So we know that it's coming to PC, PS4, the other console, Xbox. Damn it, Xbox. And of course it is coming to my beloved, the Switch. Now it's actually been developed by a team called Naps Team, spelled N-A-P-S Team. Apparently these guys have been around since the Amiga days. Their first game was in 1994. You might recognize some of the games from the list here, and they do actually have a couple of ports on Switch already. I may be just super excited about this and everything in life. If you've seen my previous videos, there is a little bit of a but to throw in this, because it doesn't quite have the budget that those other games like Ni No Kuni that I've mentioned before do. That doesn't mean that it can't maintain some of that charm, and it certainly has a lovely orchestrated soundtrack to it. I just want to set some expectations here so no one's expecting the Wind Waker 2 when it's really going to be the Wind Waker nothing. It's going to be good. It's going to be okay. The way this game is going to play is definitely going to be much more along the lines of a Zelda-like than anything to do with Ni No Kuni. Like the art style, that's taking a bite out of Ni No Kuni. But the actual gameplay itself, you can tell it's a Zelda-like. And as we go through this, especially as we get through some of these finer details, you're going to go, wow, this took some heavy, weighty, deep inspiration. I mean, look, right from the get-go here, this team wears its heart on its sleeve, and its screenshots, and its Twitter profile. Yeah, they're definitely not shy about saying, we are a Zelda-like game. Now, funnily enough, I'm pointing out these screenshots because they do have a number of these screenshots that are just on their Twitter profile. You won't find these anywhere else, which is important because while the screenshots may be in a lot of stuff that we've already seen, they include the HUD, which we don't see in the trailer. Of course, this is why I mentioned the hearts, which you can see up here. And you can bet that bottom dollar of yours that you're going to be able to upgrade these hearts. We don't know whether it's going to be like bosses or chests or both or everything out of Zelda, but we know that we start off with 3 here and some screenshots have 5. The other information that these screenshots are going to give us is that first of all, we have money up the top corner here. Wow, money. Right below that is a little bit more interesting, and that is the keys, which if you're paying attention in the trailer, you would have seen these sneaky little treasure chests just hidden off in different places like in the snow here and just off to the side of the screen. I didn't actually spot any doors yet, but there are certainly chests. Now the most interesting thing out of the entire hub that we see here lays down the bottom right hand corner, and that's the items. Between the trailer and these screenshots here, we've seen a whole bunch of these items, way more than I thought. Obviously, we've seen you swing a sword, and you have a turtle back looking shield on your back. However, I'm not sure whether these sword and the turtle back actually take up that item slot when you want to use them. I would imagine not, but I haven't confirmed it at this stage. There is a really good reason that I mentioned this, and that is because we don't actually know if you can hold multiple items yet. We've seen them hold the one item down the bottom corner, but it just seems to scroll between them with the up and down arrows. It doesn't seem to be holding multiple. Now quickly, grab those grains of salt and throw them down in here because these could be old screenshots. In fact, a lot of them are, so who knows whether they've decided to update that by now. Continuing on with the items here, we've seen the lantern, the shovel, and the bombs all in the screenshots, and this thing here, which I'm guessing is some sort of instrument. That does it for the screenshots, but if you listen carefully, you'll hear them sneaking back into Zelda to take a couple more items. First of all, in the trailer here, we can see Baldo putting on a mask. Actually, scrap that. I don't know if this character is actually Baldo. Baldo might be the princess. Just gonna call him Bink for now. So we see Bink here from Bink's Awakening putting on the mask, which makes him go invisible. I'm sure this mask has been pickpocketed from Majora's Mask, although I'm not actually sure if there was an invisibility mask in Majora's Mask. I haven't played enough of it. Sorry. Then we have the Wind Blower here, which is kind of like the leaf from Wind Waker. Although if you pay careful attention to this leafy type structure, it's not actually a leaf, it is a lily pad. At least I think so. And this would kind of make sense considering that we see him wear the lily pad here while he's at the pond with a frog. I think those three things are kind of connected somehow. Just a thought. This next one was actually really easy to miss. Like, it took me a few watches of this to go, oh, that is not that, that is that, and that is a staff. You see, when Bink puts the object in the ground here, that is actually a staff if we look at that carefully. That is not a sword, as you would expect. That does it for all the items that I've managed to shove my sockets on, but there is one more thing that I want to mention here in regards to the items. You remember that flute looking thing that I thought might be a flute that probably isn't a flute, that could be a flute? Well, what if that was a flute and that could change time? Because we've actually seen inside the game that the time does change. There is a day, there is a night cycle, whether it actually happens by you having to do something like play a song, or maybe it just happens naturally and the time just goes from day to night as you're playing throughout the game. I'd like to imagine possibly both. Speaking of night, we actually see these dirty, filthy looking slugs rolling around at night, and it does have me wondering whether that has something to do with the cycle that, well, they pop up in town or wherever else at night, so you're going to be more careful at nighttime. But let's move on with those enemies, because we've actually seen, like the items, a huge number of these enemies, and some of them you might not have noticed. We have filthy rats, slimes in 2 different colors, lizards, again, come in these 2 varieties, Deku shrub thing looking thing, big white dude. That's what they call me. No, they don't. There's cactus here, which kind of just runs from the background, just going, "Don't forget me! Don't forget me!" They will not be forgotten. There are these skellies, also eyeballs that hang around in the background here. They are possibly enemies. We got the robot man here who, if you pay attention to, actually has a bug-like robot that comes up next to him. Then there's the snowman, there's the rock man, and this giant evil ant, who I don't actually think is evil, but he is starting to learn about growing leaves where there weren't leaves before. Putting your feet down and laying the beat down on these foes isn't the only thing that you'll be doing as far as gameplay. Obviously, we've seen that you can do puzzles as well, and it wouldn't be a Zelda-like without having these puzzles. However, you might not have actually spotted all the puzzles that we've seen in this. I'm sure you did see him turning the levers here and doing the push block puzzles, but did you see the spider webs here that we're obviously going to have to burn down in some manner? And then if you look at the foreground here, up near the screen, you actually see there's lights and mirrors that are reflecting. And I'm guessing this is part of a puzzle as well. Then if you look at these tracks here, it's quite likely this is a bull rolling puzzle. Kind of like those ice sliding puzzles in Pokemon. You know, the ones that 99% of people hate, but there's like that 1% out there that's like, oh, this is my fetish. I don't think anyone's ever said it like that. Okay, we've also seen some equipment here. By that, I mean we've seen him in his initial rags. We've also seen him in some sort of stealth purpley gear, and we've seen him in snowwear here at the end. And you know what they say, you're going snowwear if you're not wearing snowwear. That does it for the equipment, but where would you get this equipment? Well, if I was a betting man, I would say that you could get it from a shop. And it's possible that we have seen these shops if you pay careful little attention here. Not that careful. The first place we've probably seen is like a kitchen, a chef, a cooking type of place. Here we get a glimpse of the psychopath killing machine. We've also seen possibly a blacksmith and this big alchemist cat who has a small alchemist apprentice cat. And a living pot. That kind of wraps up everything that I've managed to poke my nose into in this trailer so far, except for the pots. There are a lot of pots in this trailer. Honestly, there's pot. Almost every scene has a pot. Also, the word pot is fun to say. Pot. I don't think I mentioned this at the start, but the game doesn't actually have a release date yet, so that's also worth noting that we're still waiting on one of them. Possibly E3 when we could see something like this. Who knows at this rate? Anyway, thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed what happened here, just make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Be much appreciated. And remember, for great Nintendo entertainment, you can count on me. For today's end screen, I just want to let you guys know who make it to these end screen that I do streaming on the weekends. So if you are around the place, make sure you keep an eye out. I try to do a notification as early as possible, and I put it on Twitter, I put it on Discord, I put it anywhere that I can so that you know that I'm doing streaming. But just pay attention because you don't want to miss out on them. They are fun, diddly done, just like this end screen. Goodbye.